Oh hi, I was looking at the part 1 of the Cambridge B1 preliminary speaking part 1. I know you're worried about the part 1, so hopefully at the end of today's video I will have been able to give you a tip or two on how to fully answer the speaking part 1 of the Cambridge B1 preliminary. Video coming right up. Great to have you back. If this is your first time here, my name is Olaleye from Onetutor, bringing you great tips on how you can speak English effectively. One of the goals of this channel is to give power to you, is to give power to your words through effective vocabularies that will help you take your English to the very top. You might consider subscribing to the channel somewhere down here if you haven't done that already, so you can stay notified of great videos like this one that will help you take your English to the very top. Hit the like button if you're learning just a little bit of English every time. Now let's jump into the video. Some of the common questions I've been asked. 1. The number of questions. The number of questions. How many questions are there in the speaking part 1? I understand, because it's super important for you to be prepared for the number of questions. It's super important for you to know how to effectively manage your time. So you need to know how many questions are in the speaking part 1. And the answer to this question is that there are no set numbers. The examiner could ask you 1 question, 2, 3, 4. The examiner could ask you a number of questions. It will depend on the examiner. It will also depend on the time you have been given. In this case, 2 to 3 minutes to answer a few questions in the speaking part 1. The second question that I've been asked is connected to a partner. Will there be another person speaking with you in the speaking part 1? And the answer to this question is that there would be another partner. There could be 2 other people that might join you in the speaking part 1. But remember, the purpose of the speaking part 1 is to see how well you can understand questions in English and how well you can respond to questions in English. So the goal of the part 1 is to see how well you are able to provide answers, how you're able to give information alone, not with someone else. Yes, of course there will be other people doing the exam with you, but in the part 1 the goal is to see how well you can speak alone. Let me know in the comment section if there are questions that you have in mind. Are there other questions you would like answers to? Let me know in the comment section. Remember everyone, speaking part 1 is always for you. So we're going to be having a look at a few questions that are contained in the practice test. So we have one of the first question in the speaking part 1. You could have a question like, where do you live? Where do you live? Of course, if you live in London, you can simply say London. So that's one way you could respond to that question, where do you live? London. So that's one way you could respond to that question. Or you could also say, instead of saying, the question says, where do you live? I would suggest that you respond by changing live, which is a word that is contained in the question. So instead of saying London, which is perfect, I would say I am based in London. I am based in London. And I like my city because there are a wide range of things to do. So in this case, you are showing a different vocabulary because the examiner has asked you, where do you live? And of course, you know, going back to yes and no response, you can simply say London. London. Of course, that shows your understanding of the question because you're responding with London. Of course, but the other way for the purpose of today's video is to show how you can show just a little bit of reason showing just a little bit of vocabulary every time you're asked a question. So you've been asked a question, where do you live? You can simply say, I am based in London. So you've changed live to based in, or you can simply say, I reside in London, or I am from London. So you've shown your wide range of vocabulary. You've shown a new vocabulary because you understand the question if you show a new vocabulary. And of course, you want to give another reason to support what you're saying. Remember, don't make the reason to be very long. It must be short. Responding to the question. So I am based in London, or I am from London, and I love my city because there are many things to do. Or I love my city because it's big and I can find many things to do. So in this case, you have extended your answer just a little bit because it's speaking. And of course, it's super important for you to be able to show that you can speak. Remember not to extend the response, but to provide just a little bit of response with reason, with a new vocabulary in the speaking part one. We're going to be having a look at another question. So we're having a look at another question, and the question is, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? What do you enjoy doing in your free time? So that's the question you've been asked. Remember everyone, we have free time can be changed to mean spare time. So you can say spare time, you can say leisure time, you can also say something I do for fun, or you can simply say hobby or hobbies. So these you can alternate what you like doing in your free time. So free time can be alternated. You can change free time to the vocabularies I've just mentioned. So that's one thing. Second thing, what you like doing in your free time. So I would respond to the question by saying, in my spare time, I love playing basketball. Okay, I love playing basketball. And I'm not done yet. So I love, in my spare time, I love playing basketball. And it's a good way for me to meet people. It's a good way for me to meet people. And now I'm done. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to wait for the next question. So remember everyone, change your vocabulary and provide just a little bit of reason. Not to worry, I'll be leaving some vocabularies in the description below so you can use them at any time. It's super important for you to know how much time you have. It's super important to know how long you need in order to answer questions in the part one of the speaking for Cambridge B1 preliminary. Remember everyone, you've got about 2 to 3 minutes to answer a few questions. And communication in this part is one way. It means that you are asked a few questions and you have to respond alone to the questions that you've been asked. Look at the third question. A question could be, what did you do yesterday? Or what did you do last night? Or what did you do last weekend? So you can be asked these questions. And of course, some people respond to this question by making a list, by saying, yesterday I went to the cinema, I went to play football, I went to swim, I went out with my friends, I went out with my family, I stayed at home, or I slept after all I did yesterday. So that's a shopping list because you're only responding, you're making a list to that question. Well, of course, it's understandable because you've been asked the question, what did you do yesterday? So it's natural for you to think that you should give it an account of what you did yesterday or what you did last week or what you did last weekend by just making a list of the things that you did. So it's understandable, but it's super important for you. Number one, change the vocabulary. So if I was asked the question, what did you do last weekend? So I would change last weekend by simply saying a weekend ago. A weekend ago. So I'm changing my vocabulary. So you can say, a weekend ago, I went out with my friends to the park. It was great as we did many things together. So it was great because we did many things together. I could simply say, a weekend ago, I went to the park. It was great because my friends and I spent time knowing ourselves better. So you see, I've provided just a little bit of reason. I've changed my vocabulary and I'm done. I have stopped waiting for the next question. So remember, point and reason. Change your vocabulary and provide just a little bit of reason. Because if I could answer the question by saying, last weekend I went to the park, and then I'm waiting for the next question, but I would recommend you to change your vocabulary and provide a little bit of reason. Study English at school. Do you study English at school? Of course, you can simply say yes, or you can simply say no. So that's based on yes and no approach. But of course, in today's video, the question is, do you study English at school? And of course, I will respond by saying, of course, I learn English at school. And it's great as I can learn new vocabularies that will help me in the future. So I'm done with responding to that question. I'm done with responding to that question. I'm not going to give any other response because I'm done, and then I'm waiting for the next question. Thanks for watching today's video, everyone. I hope you've been able to learn a tip or two about responding effectively to questions in the speaking time, responding to questions within the time you've been given, responding to the question, showing your wide range of vocabulary, responding to questions by giving just a little bit of reason every time you ask the question. Remember, everyone, point and reason. Point and reason. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.